your age, they say. If someone dares to say this to me, you know what I'll tell them? I am acting my age. Have you ever had someone tell you that? You need to act your age. Dress your age. You know, be 40 and stop, trying to be young. That and I laugh because that is, to me, it's ridiculous, because we are who we are. At least we should be who we are. We shouldn't change because a calendar says you're now 40, you're now 50, you're now 60. So start acting that age. Be the age that you are, but that's being you still. You don't have to change. And I get really, I get sad for people who feel they have to do that. I remember someone that I knew personally, and we were just kind of walking and talking, and this was, gosh, I don't know, 15 years ago or something, but she's like, yeah, I'm 40 now, and, I better start acting like it. My kids, they're teenagers. I better start acting my age. I need to change how I'm dressing and everything. And the way she said it was like she was ready to just pull her rocking chair out, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it was like she was ready to do that because she was now 40. And I looked at her like, and I think we were probably, gosh, it was around 15 years or so, and we were like the same age. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not going to change, and I'm not going to switch my wardrobe out just because I hit 40. I don't know how you do it, but I'm going to still be me. And I told her I'm not going to change, but do what you need to do for your life. But that's not a given. Like, you need to, now you're 40, now you're 50, you need to start revamping your whole life because the calendar says, now is the day that I need to start acting 50. Okay. And there's a wonderful thing. I'm not saying like, try to pretend that we're not aging, because I love aging. Aging is a beautiful thing because the opposite is not. So it's a blessing to age. You're alive, you're wiser, you've learned from past mistakes and you've corrected that path, and just overall growth and maturity, and you have a lot to offer, a lot more to experience, a lot more to learn. There's more pages in your book to fill up. So even if you're 70 years old, no one should be saying, act your age. Be who you feel like inside. And I don't think that's wrong. I'm not saying that a 50-year-old should just run around, at least for me, okay, in my 50s. I can't speak for anyone else. That's your life if that's how you dress. But what I'm going to say is, I'm in my 50s. I'm not going to run around with midriff tops and mini skirts. For me, that's super inappropriate for me, because that's not my style. And even if it was my style in my 20s, I really wouldn't feel comfortable doing that now. I just wouldn't, because then I would feel like I'm not being me, that I'm just trying to keep up with some type of trend. So, I just believe that you should just be who you are inside, and just, that's what makes you happy, because you're being authentic. You're being your authentic self, it's funny because it's like, act your age. Well, the person I was at 25 or 30, she didn't disappear when I turned 50. I still like a lot of the same things that I like then, even as a teenager, you know. Like I'm Generation X. And so I don't know, there's something about Generation Xers, the 80s teenagers, like a lot of people I know who are now in their 50s and maybe 60, we're still youthful. We're still loving that music we liked, you know, still blasting music in our car. I'm a grandmother, okay? And my grandkids see me and they come in my closet and they're like, wow, they think it's like a little Disneyland because they didn't expect it. And my little grandson told me, well, he's not little now, he's almost 11, but he was like, you have too much stuff. Ooh, but I like this, you know. I still like what I liked back then, you know. I'm just in a better place. I'm happier than I was in my 20s because I made a lot of mistakes and I've grown from that, you know. So I'm just in a better spot mentally, spiritually, all of that. But yeah, I still love what I did when I was a younger person. I loved traveling still. I'm not going to sit down and say, well, I'm in my 50s, I better just stay put and not like, you know, the things that I used to do. I wish I could. My husband's like, go ahead, as long as you're, you know, with the right people. And he always knows what I'm doing. If I go to LA for the Oscars or just go to LA because I just feel like playing in LA, he's okay with that because he knows me and he knows who I'm with and he knows that I'm gonna have a good time. And he doesn't want me to just be sitting at home all the time because that's what I should be doing because, you know, we're in our 50s, you know. And I'm so grateful he's not like that because I couldn't deal with that. So that was a conversation we had, but I just always wanted to be me, you know. I still like, you know, my pop music. I still like punk music that I liked back in the 80s. You know, I still like it. I still like my pop music, my fashion, dressing unique, you know, my clothes. I have some clothes, no lie, that I bought in the like early 90s and I was in my 20s. And I can fit them again, or even some that I may not be able to fit, but I still have them because I like them. You know, my style has not changed. And in people that know me in real life, they know my style has really not changed. I've added things to it, but my behavior, I've always loved adventure and just traveling, trying something new. You know, I went on a hike and I climbed like this mountain and it freaked me out, but I did it. This was just a couple of years ago during COVID and I tried something new. I wasn't gonna sit down and be like, well, I'm too old for that now. I'd never done anything like that. It was a new adventure for me and I wanted to do it and I pushed myself to do it. And I got to that waterfall and it was amazing. And I felt brand new and fresh and it was just so fun. And I was like, I never thought I would do something like this in my 50s. And I felt like a young girl because it was just a blast, you know. So don't let people make you feel like just because you've hit 40s or 50s that you've hit a wall and you need to sit down and you need to sit in your rocking chair or just stay at home in your bed or just always be you know, I'm always grandma, but I don't have to always be in grandma mode. I'm still my individual self as well. Even wife, I'm still my individual self, and that's who my husband wants me to be, and that's who I want him to be himself. I don't, or himself. I don't require that, you know, you're getting older now and you need to just, you know, we need to just sit down and just look out the window together. You know, we travel, you know, we booked a trip the other day. We're ready to go. We're ready to go and, you know, and just celebrate life together. And You don't have to always just be on the go. And I'm not saying that. And we don't, you're responsible at this age, but you can do things that you couldn't do 20 years ago. And you're just enjoying your life. If I can afford to buy a certain dress now that I may not have been able to buy 20 years ago, or a bag, and it makes me feel fun and vibrant, I'm going to do it because that's me. And I'm not trying to impress anyone. It's just something that makes me happy and feel cute. And, and I just think that's okay. But yeah, age is just a number. There's no handbook of, when you turn 40, when you turn 50, if there's a handbook on that, I didn't check that book out of the library. I left it there because, I do what makes me happy, as long as it's proper, as long as it's not offensive or just plain ridiculous. I mean, there's things, and I don't even have to mention, you should be appropriate when you're an adult, period. That, we're not teenagers. And some people feel like, they can just do whatever. They take that to the extreme. And, more power to you. That's you. But yeah, just, I just look at age as the number of years I've been alive. I'm 57 and I wear whatever makeup I want to wear. Like today I have, I don't know, some kind of, I forget what palette this is, but the eyeliner, if I want a wing liner, or I changed my hair up. So what? Sometimes everybody knows I've been doing this for decades, but I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm going to still be me because it's okay to be me. I would just be miserable if I wasn't allowed to be myself just because I hit 40s or 50. I just want to always be me, and a better me than I was. That's the thing. Back, a few decades ago, I had some really big bumps in the road. And fortunately, I turned that all around. And I'm just happier, but I'm still me. I still like the fashion, and, I wish I could fly over to Europe and go to Fashion Week, and I don't make any apologies for wanting to do that. That's something that I have penciled in, and hopefully I'll be able to do it. And if not, I'll just do things at home. The state of the world, you never know what's going on. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that today because, I see people, they stifle themselves because they have turned 35 or 40. Oh, I'm approaching my 40s. We're getting old. I was just having a conversation with my brother, and he was like, we're not old. I'm like, of course we're not old. We're in our 50s. And my brother, we tend to look younger than our age. That's just like our family, like genetics. But also, I think that even having said that, if you allow that mindset of, well, now I'm 50 and I better start acting like it, you will act older than that. I know some 70-year-olds that are more vibrant than some 30-year-olds that I know, because they don't follow that book that's on the shelf in the library. That's just a metaphor, but that you should act your age. They are acting their age. They're a certain age and they're acting the way that they're supposed to be. They're enjoying the things that they want to enjoy, and that's okay. And I hope that you guys, if you're hearing that, or I'm not telling you what to do or change yourself or whatever, but if you feel the way that I felt about these topics, I just want you to know that, we all hear that sometimes. You need to act your age, or you may hear somebody say that about another person. She needs to act her age. Well, she is acting her age, and she's not hurting anybody. you know, so let people be, and it's okay. It is okay. So, you know, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for sitting here with me on my little soapbox, and you know, let me know your thoughts on this whole thing, because it just seems like people are enjoying themselves, and you know, if you're not hurting anyone, you know, you're not hurting God, just be you. Okay, you should just always, you know, follow decency guidelines in life, but just be yourself, and you know, wear what you want to wear as long as it's decent. But if you want to wear something that you wore when you were in your 30s, you're 25, you know how to accessorize that. Still wear it. I do. Like I said, I still have clothes. I have clothes in here that a 20-some-year-old would wear, but the way that I accessorize it, it's appropriate for me. I'm not going to go to the gray section, gray, black. You know, this is better for somebody in her 50s. She got, you know, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be me. People know Lavette has always been this girl. I'm always going to be me, because that just makes me feel better about myself, and you should feel good about yourself, because that way you treat people better and you're happier. And so that's the main thing. Just enjoy life, because you can't enjoy life if somebody's got their foot on your neck talking about you need to just stay, you know, dress like you're supposed to dress as a 40-year-old. That's silly, you know. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. This has been kind of fun to talk about it, because I started thinking about just my life through the years, and the types of clothes that I've always liked, the makeup, you know, the big hair. I've always liked big hair, you know, but I switch up and, you know, back and forth, and just do what I want to do. So, and I hope you do the same. So have a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you for stopping by. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and going into the new week. So yeah, be safe out there, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.